Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Felix Drummond, and welcome back to Felix Drummond Medals. In this third episode, we will be talking about the Territorial Awards and Medals awarded to British and Commonwealth personnel of the Territorial Army during the First World War. Before we get into the actual medals and awards awarded to the Territorial Army during the First World War, we will start with a brief history of the Territorial Army. The Territorial Army, or TA, otherwise known as the Territorial Force, was a volunteer force formed on the 1st of April 1908 through the passing of the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act of 1907. It was formed as a way to replace earlier volunteer forces such as the Volunteer Force and Volunteer Yeomanry and integrate them into one united auxiliary force. The Territorial Army's main purpose was to support regular army units overseas in expeditionary operations, but it was primarily assigned for home defense. The Territorial Army was also used as a way to muster recruits without resorting to conscription. There were two main awards that were awarded specifically for the First World War awarded to the Territorial Army. The first one I'm going to talk about is what is widely regarded as the rarest medal awarded to British and Commonwealth forces during the First World War. The Territorial Force War Medal, made of bronze. It was awarded to those who had served a minimum of 4 years before the First World War in the Territorials and signed up for overseas service before the 30th of September 1914, but if they didn't go to a combat area before the 31st of December 1915. You may remember in our previous video we talked about how if you landed in France, Mesopotamia, Egypt, or any other form of combat area following the 31st of December 1915, then you were only entitled to the pair here, nicknamed Mutt and Jeff, the British War Medal and the Victory Medal, and you weren't awarded a 14 or 14-15 star or any star at all. Well, the result of this medal was those who signed up for overseas service before the 30th of September 1914 in the Territorials, but didn't go overseas into a combat area until after the 31st of December 1915, they only got the pair, and that angered a lot of the Territorials as they believed they had done all the work required for one of the stars, but they didn't get that third medal. So the British government introduced the Territorial Force War Medal to be awarded to those men who signed up before the First World War began and signed up for overseas service before the 30th of September 1914. They issued a Territorial Force War Medal for those men. And just to compare, the British War Medal, for example, 6.5 million of those awards were awarded to British and Commonwealth personnel during the First World War. The Territorial Force War Medal, 33,000 were awarded. So a massive difference. This was the rarest medal awarded for the First World War to British and Commonwealth personnel, as I stated earlier. The second award awarded to the Territorial Force during the First World War was an award known as the Imperial Service Badge. The Imperial Service Badge was instituted in 1910 and was awarded to members of the Territorial Force who volunteered to serve overseas. However, it could only be awarded if 90% or more of someone's unit also volunteered to serve overseas. As stated earlier, members of the Territorial Force were not obligated to serve overseas. However, they could volunteer for, quote, imperial service if they so wished, meaning that they could serve overseas. As this badge was instituted in 1910, it was not exclusively awarded for the First World War. However, it was issued from 1910 to 1921, and since the vast majority of those years covered the First World War period, I have chosen to include it in this video. Apologies for the change of lighting and my change of clothing. I'm recording this part of the video at night. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it's been helpful. Once again, for some very good research sources, and if you're starting to get an interest in collecting First World War medals, once again, I highly recommend Howard Williamson's The Great War Medal Collectors Companion, my apologies. The Great War Medal Collectors Companion. Once again, it's quite hard to find and it is quite expensive, but it is a very, very, very good book. And also, I hope you guys enjoyed as well the new style of editing I've used for this video as well. But yeah, I hope this video has been helpful and I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.